Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name's Rubidium. Last week's video about why Hollywood films look and feel different really hit a nerve because it got, 10x or 5x the amount of normal views I get. And a lot of people were interested or had thoughts about the Hollywood method of making movies and why you would spend 2 weeks shooting two people waving their wands at pretend dementors on the side of a lake, spending millions and millions of dollars for one scene. I wanted to expand on that this week and kind of give practical advice about how people who are still trying to break into the film industry can get noticed, get attention. And that is to not try and do everything well, but to focus on one aspect of the film that you're making, or the TikTok, or the whatever it is, the documentary, and make that special and do everything else just barely enough to get by. So what I see a lot is new directors, new screenwriters, new producers. They have a great idea for a film, something that they really want to say. And then they think, to get noticed, I have to make the lighting spectacular, the cinematography spectacular, the performances have to be amazing, the script has to be really different. Trying to do everything well stretches you so thin and takes on so much that you end up doing very little well, because you already have fewer resources, but you're then trying to focus on everything, like a Dilbert cartoon. Like let's focus on everything. The tried and true way of new filmmakers breaking in, at least in feature films, is they pick one thing that they have a really unique take on, and then they make that one thing different, and then just do everything else good enough. So Quentin Tarantino, for example, he did Reservoir Dogs. There's nothing spectacular about the cinematography of Reservoir Dogs. There's nothing amazing about the wardrobe. There's nothing amazing about the locations. There's the sound's not that great. But his approach to violence and depicting it unflinchingly, almost reveling in the violence and on screen, made his films really different than everything else out there. It made other people take notice. It made him unique. Then when he went on to Pulp Fiction, he did both the violence again, and he did a non-linear narrative which kind of jumps around and tells different stories in this really fascinating fashion. So when he had only a couple $1 million, he focused just on the violence, and he told the story in pretty much one location in real time. When he had more money, when he had $20 million, or probably in today's money, he then did two things differently. When he had more money again, in Jackie Brown or Django or Glorious Bastards, he did everything well and kept his signature violence. Same with Guy Ritchie. If you look at Lock, Stock, he brought this real swagger and attitude and style to how everyone spoke, and basically built on Tarantino's idea of this roguish, violent filmmaking that broke rules and ushered in a new era of kind of gritty, hot, though stylish filmmaking. And then when he had more money for Snatch, he kept that and then did everything else better because he had the money to do so. The same is true of Kevin Smith in Clerks. Now, it came out around the same time as Tarantino, but he didn't even have the money for the shootouts and the guns. He crafted this really unique dialogue between the characters, something that we hadn't really seen in movies before, in Hollywood before. It was young, it was hip, it was edgy. He shot the whole thing in a video store in a week. The cinematography is black and white. It's not particularly well lit. It's not particularly well production designed. But then when he got more resources from that first one, he kept what he did differently and then did other things better as well. Same is true of Christopher Nolan. With The Following, he did his twists and nonlinear storytelling and like very complex plotting that asks a lot from the audience. And then when he had money to do Memento, he doubled down on that and then increased his other things and production value as well. He didn't try and do everything with nothing, which is where a lot of people get stuck. You don't even need to think about becoming globally famous and being, winning Academy Awards or whatever it is that these filmmakers I'm discussing go on to do. Even if you just want to kind of cut through the noise and get discovered on social media, you need to pick one aspect and do that differently than everyone else. Do that in your own unique way so that then that will separate you from everything else out there without trying to do too much at once or trying to do many things better than everybody else. Because if it were easy to do, then everyone else would already be doing those things. If you take this YouTube channel, for instance, I didn't put on some kind of heightened persona to talk about filmmaking or try and be a magician. I was also not a working Hollywood director making multi-million-dollar films, but I was making films in LA at the time and decided to bring that perspective to YouTube at a time when not many other people who had those skills were making YouTube videos. This is 2016. So I was able to build this channel and build this community by bringing not a totally unique perspective, but a perspective that wasn't on YouTube at the time. Now there are lots of working filmmakers on YouTube, and we as YouTubers get to benefit from multiple perspectives of multiple different levels, people who bring their experience and their knowledge, and it has ushered in this golden age of filmmaking where if you want to know how some great movie was lit or shot or written, there'll be someone out there who could probably teach you. If you find the one thing that you are going to make different and bring to the table that is going to get you the attention and separate you from everyone else out there, there are ways to simplify everything else in the film. Simplify the blocking, simplify the cinematography, simplify the editing, where you just shoot people in the same way with the same perspective time and time again, so that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel or not trying to spend days doing complex one-ers. Speaking of complex one-ers, for my first feature film, Brooklyn Tide, I originally had the idea that the whole film would be a one-er and that we would follow the different characters through Brooklyn as they tried to prevent this terrorist attack. What I ended up discovering was that was very complicated to do. And instead, I shot the whole thing on a movie still in long shots, but I did get coverage. For example, if there were two people walking, I got like a two shot from in front of them and then individual singles some of the time, so that I had options to cut around and it didn't require me doing take after take after take to get the exact blocking right. The final film still has a lot of energy and I'm still really proud of what I was able to do. It still doesn't feel like, we were able to shoot it really, really quickly. The whole film, I think, was 6 days. I chose that as the one different thing that then was able to make the film look different than a lot of, espionage thrillers, which were mainly shot, people in office buildings, people in embassies, people on park benches. So by able to combine what I thought was a well-plotted espionage thriller with this dynamic camera movement made the film something special. We had very few lights on set. The majority of the time it was existing lighting, it was natural lighting, and we just tried to time and block the scenes so that they looked well lit and that they looked like a movie and not like a documentary. For my second film, The Devil's Fortune, I chose locations mainly within like a 10-15 minute drive of my house in LA so that we could do 2 and 3 locations a day. We could shoot in Griffith Park, we could shoot in the package depot I found, we could shoot in these different places and not do multiple scenes in one day rather than having to schedule the film for like 30 days and having one scene per day. We could get something in the morning, go and get lunch, get something in the afternoon, and then sometimes even get something in the evening as well. I didn't try and reinvent the wheel with locations. I picked good locations that were close by. I didn't try and reinvent the wheel with cinematography. I wanted to tell a complex, involved, political thriller that was essentially an update of like a cursed treasure story where everyone that comes into contact with a particular sum of money ends up dying terribly. It's on Amazon and Tubi if you want to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. So maybe you do want to invent the wheel with your cinematography. Maybe you do want to get dozens of shots, crazy angles, amazing low light or high key or whatever it is. If that's the case, pick a simple, straightforward script that the actors can learn easily, that they can really perform well, knowing that you're going to need a lot of time on set to get the angles and the lighting right, and it won't leave you a lot of time to do multiple takes. Think of each department in filmmaking like a roulette table, and instead of trying to hedge your bets and put a couple of chips on sound, on your vision, on your script, on your performances, on your marketing, pick one thing and then put all the chips on that. There have been plenty of movies who become wildly successful just by making an okay film, but marketing it in a genius way. Paranormal Activity comes to mind. Blair Witch Project comes to mind. The product in itself wasn't that captivating, but the buzz that they built around the film made a lot of people want to see it and made those directors' careers successful. A lot of the people that have succeeded by separating themselves from the other films out there by going all in on one particular aspect have built up that capacity and that ability over several films, because it's not as though you can just say, oh, I'm going to make gorgeous cinematography on this film and just decide to. You have to develop a style, you have to develop, you have to buy that gear, you have to work out how you're going to make your particular aspect significant, and then get feedback on that by trying it, experimenting it, reinventing it. A lot of filmmakers come from photography, or they did back in the 80s and 90s, and they brought with them their work as a photographer and sometimes the authenticity, sometimes the particular perspective. Jim Jarmusch made his first big film. It was just 8 locked off shots in black and white where the characters come in and out of frame, they have conversations and they leave again. He was able to make those locked off wide angle shots so captivating in a film that he launched his entire career. He did it through a unique style of writing and being counter to what Hollywood was doing at the time, which was Star Wars and E.T. He approached filmmaking as art again, and a lot of people who'd been starved for that really responded. Hopefully this has helped people understand that to make something special, you need to pick one particular aspect, 2 at most, of your film and make that thing incredibly special while just doing the minimum with everything else so that you can focus your limited resources on the things that are really going to make a difference. If you would rather listen to this YouTube video in the car, I've been uploading them to Spotify and Apple Podcasts as audio. So you can check those out in the links below. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.